Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. We're so excited to chat with you today about SEO and PPC. Sorry about the little delay there. We're having some technical difficulties, but we're ready to rock and roll now. So we'll jump right into this deck and get started talking about all things nonprofit marketing strategies. So, like I said, thanks for joining us today. This is on SEO and pay-per-click ads and how to combine your strategy across those different channels in order to drive traffic to your site. So a little bit about us at Community Boost. We're really proud and privileged to work with amazing social ventures changing the world. In 2021, we worked with over 400 nonprofits directly, and we helped those organizations drive in over $40 million in donation revenue. And some of the ways that we did that was through SEO or search engine optimization, Google paid ads, and the Google ad grant. And so we will dive into deeper strategy today about how we combine those strategies to drive more engaged users to our website. But to start off, we'll introduce ourselves. My name is Brannan. I am a senior digital specialist on the Community Boost team. And I've worked on all things search engine marketing, so Google Ads, the Google Ad Grant, as well as search engine optimization. So this is really my bread and butter, and I'm excited to chat with you more today, but I'll hand it off to Isabelle.
Thank you. My name is Isabelle Ashraf. I'm a senior digital specialist on the team as well. I work on all things Google and started off on Google Ad Grant. Ashley and I got to do work on the Google team together before she switched to SEO because we believe just in the impact of SEO, but lovingly refer to Ashley as my work wife. And so I'm excited to get to work with her today and work on this presentation. So yeah, I've been here for about 2.5 years. I started working on Google Ad Grant around then too, and really love all things Google. So I'm going to be doing a YouTube presentation right after this as well. So if you're interested in that, follow me there. But that's a little bit about myself. First off, we'd love to just start off with a poll of what's your experience with SEO and PPC. Do you use both of those strategies? Do you only use one of those strategies? Where are you at on that spectrum? It gives Ashley and I a great sense of who's tuning in, what's your experience there, and how to kind of adjust what we're talking about. So fill that out for us. Great. So most people, top winners, SEO and PPC. We love to see that. So that's great. Just PPC. We see a lot of our partners just using PPC. So SEO, we believe in just how valuable SEO is. So that's why we're going to be talking about it today and how it relates to PPC. So great. Awesome. Kind of nothing or all of it. So that's great. It's our two majorities. Perfect. And then we're going to go back in to our slide deck around kind of the agenda for today. Maria, if you could switch it back to the deck. Thank you. Maria's on our back end doing everything for us, and we love her. So to go over today's agenda, first off, we're going to talk about SEO, what it is, our strengths and weaknesses of it. We're going to talk about PPC, what is it, the strengths and weaknesses of it as well, and then give you some really tips that you can start working on today, and how you can incorporate both SEO and PPC into your strategy, and give you some tangible tips of how to apply that to what you're doing. So PPC and SEO. First off, let's talk about why search engine marketing matters to nonprofits. Why is it important? I spend 99.9% of my day in platform, but Google has 92.24% of the market share for users searching on the internet. I think we forget sometimes how integrated Google search is into our daily life. And 4.3 billion out of 4.7 billion users are using Google on the internet. So a broad reach of people are using Google, and just how important it is integrated in their daily life. 3.5 billion users a day. It's the most visited site in the US. Just think about how many platforms on Google you also use. And every single Google search is an opportunity for your nonprofit to show up on. And with SEO and PPC, those two strategies can really make you stronger in this and have a higher rate of showing up in the first 3 results in Google search, whether that's an SEO or a PPC. But the things we're talking about today are going to talk about how can you show up on the first page of Google search and the great opportunity that is for your nonprofit.
All right, so let's dive into these different channels. First, starting off with what is SEO? SEO is really the practice of increasing the quantity and the quality of traffic to your website through organic search engine results. So those are results that you don't have to pay for. If you're thinking about when you do a Google search, all of those results that show up that don't have ad next to them, those are the organic results that we're talking about. And Google works to identify what websites should appear for every single keyword that is searched on Google. So SEO works to appear for more relevant keywords related to your organization and your mission and drive more traffic to your website from those keywords. And the key here is really determining what keywords users are searching for and that are related to your organization and your mission, and optimizing your website in order to rank for those keywords. And generally, the bottom line for SEO is the more that your website shows up on the search engine results page, the more engagement your website will get, the more engaged users your website will get, and that'll bring in more supporters, more donors, etc. There are quite a few strengths of SEO, and one of those being that it is quote unquote free. And I say that because there's really no ad spend behind SEO at all. So you don't have to pay for every single click that someone is clicking on the search engine results page to drive to your website. However, we all know that your time is not free. So the cost of your time of spending time optimizing your website, creating more content, that's where that cost comes in. But there is no ad spend behind all of the results that you'll get out of it. Audiences are also more likely to engage with organic results, and that's not to say that ads don't drive a ton of traffic. Isabelle will definitely dive into that more of this presentation, but users are more likely to engage with organic results on the search engine results page. There's also no policy restrictions or keyword limitations. Sometimes when organizations want to run ads towards sensitive subjects, whether it be politics or health-related topics, there can be some limitations to what keywords you want to target or what ad copy that you want to use. And there aren't those restrictions with organic traffic. So that's a huge win for SEO. Also, it can help bring in more localized traffic. So traffic within your local area, it's really helpful if you have a brick and mortar organization and you're trying to drive more people to your actual location. And then another really big strength of SEO is that this clicks are very sustainable. You don't need to continuously be paying for them like you would for PPC. The results can continue over time even after you finish optimizing them. There's always maintenance that needs to be done, but generally the clicks are very sustainable and there's a lot of growth over time. But there are a few weaknesses with SEO, as there are with every channel. So you don't have major control over what keywords you exactly show up for. So your website could be showing up for keywords that you don't want to be showing up for, or vice versa. You could really want to target specific keywords, but based off of the difficulty of those keywords and a lot of other factors, it could be really hard to rank high up on the search engine results page for those keywords. And because of that, it may be really difficult to guarantee that you'll rank on the first page or the top of the search engine results page. SEO is really a long-term game as well. It's unlike Google ads where you start seeing results almost essentially as soon as you start paying for them. It takes a little bit of time to see those results as you're going and doing those optimizations. But I wanted to share with you an example of an SEO case study that we have. So we work with Quality Start San Bernardino, and they are a childhood education rating system, and they came to us with the goal of bringing in more organic traffic to their website and targeting specific keywords that were really related to their organization and mission. And we helped their team build out more content on their website to target specific keywords that were really important for them. After creating that content, their website went from only ranking for 385 to over 1,000 keywords just from creating some simple content, and that increased their organic traffic on their website by 507%. So that's really exciting. We'll start to dive into how we built out that strategy later on in this presentation. But I just wanted to share with you a gift to you. We want to get some practical insights in how you can implement SEO strategy for your nonprofit to drive more traffic and growth. So you can book a free SEO report card with our team of experts working one-on-one with nonprofits to scale growth with SEO. So just scan the QR code on this slide to get your free SEO report card if that's something that you're interested in, and we'll develop the right SEO approach for your nonprofit and provide you with resources and more information about how Community Boost can help. So if that's of interest to you, scan this QR code and I will pass it back to Isabelle.
Thank you. So let's talk about PPC. What is it? Where is it? And how do we use it? So PPC stands for pay per click. It really refers to search engine advertising, in which marketers pay, again, for each click. It's really effective at driving conversions, driving non-branded and branded clicks to the site, and really increasing traffic. It can appear on search engines like Google and Bing. That's probably the two most known platforms for search engine marketing. Like I said before, Google owns a huge percentage of that market share. And often they're the first links that appear at the top of the results. So they're going to usually be the first 3 results or get you on the first page of the search results page as well. And that's really, really important because as we talk about SEO and PPC, usually people are not really scrolling to the second or third page. And so that's really, really important when we're talking about how do we get people to your site, especially if you're a new nonprofit or you're a couple years old. Appearing and getting traffic to your site from non-branded and branded traffic is really important. And PPC's main focus is bidding on keywords against other organizations. And the main goal of PPC is to get as much search impression share as possible for the keywords that you deem as important. And we'll talk more about that as well later on. But really, PPC's focus is bidding on keywords and getting you traffic to your site and getting to the top of the results page. So some of the strengths of PPC, one is that you have control over keywords that you can bid on. Again, this is really important for being able to win impression share, being able to bid on keywords that you find are going to be that are going to convert for you and give you valuable actions from that user. So a lot of times we think about like, is this keyword valuable for me to bid on? Because does this keyword actually going to drive traffic to my site? And is this person going to potentially, sign up for a program or donate and things like that? So really important for us to have control over those keywords from a PPC perspective to be able to manage our budget. Again, allows you to be more competitive and allows you to show up when SEO can't. And the most important reason for this is that sometimes SEO, with the competitive nature of keywords, sometimes SEO can't necessarily always get you in those first 3 spots. And we know how important those first 3 spots are, but paid search also doesn't always show up for every search. So it's important to be competitive in those paid search results and be able to win impression share because it's ultimately going to get you traffic to your site. A couple more strengths are Google's AI to find conversions, specifically with paid PPC. It's really important to have this technology to be able for Google to understand who's going to convert on your site. So you're spending your budget in an appropriate way. So you're not spending, $300 to get something to your site that's not going to convert. Google's AI is really good at being able to control how much you're going to spend per cost per click in a way that relates to how much you're going to convert as well. A couple more things are, again, you're going to see immediate results with paid PPC. Again, as you start creating your campaigns and targeting keywords, you're going to almost see results immediately. And you can customize your ad copy. So if you have a certain campaign that runs during a certain season, if you have a certain donation match campaign that's running, or let's just say you want to drive people to the donation page first instead of the home page, that's really important and customizable in PPC as well. And then the final thing here too is remarketing. So if people have already been to your site and they're looking up your brand name again, you can control that experience to either direct them right to the donation page or a program page, or maybe a page that you're actually looking for them to convert instead of just learn more because they've already been to the site. So remarketing is also really helpful on PPC as well. Some weaknesses are obviously costs. You're spending your own money. That's paid search. Again, there's the option of Google to have the Google ad grant for $10,000, which allows for us to be able to run these campaigns for no cost for nonprofits. And there's not a solution for ranking. So, SEO is still really important. It's not like we can target keywords that aren't relevant at all for your organization, or keywords that might be relevant for your organization, but you don't have any content on your site speaking to those things. So it's not a solution for ranking. Like having those keywords on your site is still really, really important because it allows us to win that impression share. It allows Google to scan the site, know that you're relevant, and then give you the opportunity to show up for those things. So overall, Google's AI is really smart. It's going to be able to read your site. It's going to be able to make you show up when it's most relevant for that user. And that's just one branch of PPC.
So there are quite a few pros to each of these different channels, but we really wanted to highlight that you need both of them to actually get the most out of your search engine marketing. And we understand that it totally looks similar. It shows up very similar on the search engine results page. There's some headlines, there's some descriptions, we target keywords. But because of those setbacks of each, it's really important to use them collaboratively. And there's a lot of misconceptions about using them both collaboratively. Like if I run paid ads, then it'll take away from the engagement that I was getting for free organically. But again, that's just really not true because you're able to target very specific keywords with your ad account, and you're able to have immediate results, and you have a lot more control within ads. That's why it's really important to build out your strategy for these channels together. And having both PPC and SEO together just increases the amount of brand trust and recognition on the search engine results page as well. If people are seeing both an ad and an organic result within one search engine results page, that's going to trigger more trust and get them more familiar with your organization's website. And so Isabelle and I are going to dive deeper into how to create that well-rounded Google search strategy for you all. And she'll run you through our three-step process.
Yeah, so let's talk about these 3 steps of like tangible tips of really applying a PPC and SEO strategy to what you're doing. So first things first, we're going to talk about keyword research, maybe one of my favorite things, landing pages, and cohesive copy, and really taking you through these 3 tips of how to apply them. So keyword research, extremely important because identifying the right keywords really can impact the traffic that you're sending your site, converting traffic, and things like that. I probably spend 50% of my time nerding out on keyword research because the language that people use is really important to help identifying to you what action they're trying to take, what they're trying to look for, things like that. So to identify the right keywords, these are some of the things that we find to be really important to look at. So search volume. So looking at how many people are searching for this keyword on a monthly basis. There's tools like Keyword Planner in Google Ads, Ahrefs, SEMrush, things like that. Those platforms can help you look at that search volume, which then can help you strategize what's going to be worth it for you to bid on and worth it for you to include in your site and in your PPC ads. Keyword difficulty is another thing that kind of breeds off of that too. Keyword difficulty kind of tells us how competitive the keyword is, how much Google on average is probably going to cost you or charge you per click on that keyword. And that's really important for us to know because we want to use our money wisely for PPC, and we also want to be strategic in what we're spending money on. And then relevancy is really, really important. Again, you don't want to be bidding on keywords that you don't have any content on. So making sure that what you're investing in putting on your site is actually worth the investment to actually bid on for PPC as well. So relevancy is super important. But like I said, it's really important to understand the language in which your user is searching for these things, understanding how people are referring to certain things, And sometimes we see clients, use their own vocabulary on how they speak to some of the issues, and really need to meet people where they're at as well, and how they're referring to these issues in order to teach them. And that's one of the reasons why I love SEO and PPC, is really being able to educate people. So keyword language, really, really important.
One of the next steps that we really like to focus on both of these channels is making sure that we have really solid and strong landing pages. We can drive as much traffic as we want by having, really solid ads and paying for a lot of engagement there and bringing people organically. But once they get to your site, we want to make sure that they stay on your site and they take action. And we make sure that that happens through a few different factors, one of them being site speed. So making sure that your website loads quickly will be taken into account when determining whether or not your website ranks organically, and it'll also affect your ad score as well. And so making sure that your landing page is quick enough for Google Ads and Google's organic algorithm to rank your website well. And you can find that through Google's Page Speed Insights tool. It's a free tool, and you can just enter in your URL there and see how fast your site speed is. And it'll also give you some recommendations of how to adjust your website in order to increase that site speed as well. We all know how frustrating it can be if you're trying to engage with a really slow website and everything's loading so slowly. And so we want to make sure that your users have a great user experience once they get to your website. We also want to make sure that we're adding in the keywords that we're targeting, both organically and through ads, on your landing pages as well. Not only will that just increase relevancy of the keywords that you're trying to go after, but it'll also help users see that the landing page is actually relevant to what they were searching for in the first place. So making sure that those keywords are within the content is super important. And then the last portion of this is making sure that your content is in depth and of really good quality. There's so much content on the internet, and so we have to make sure that we're creating the best content with the most relevant information possible in order to solve your users' questions and give them the resources that they were initially looking for. The next portion of this is having really cohesive copy. So in both of these forms of search engine marketing, you have some headlines and you have some descriptions, whether they be called title tags and meta descriptions or headers and descriptions within ads. That can really affect your user engagement and your click-through rate overall. So making sure that you're able to test out different headlines and descriptions within your ad account, and then transferring over to your organic pages the most effective copy possible to bring in more engaged users. And by creating that cohesive search engine results page copy, it'll just create that stronger brand trust and more brand recognition again. As people see your website listed multiple times on the search engine results page, that's going to make your website look a lot more credible, and keeping those calls to action similar to get those user expectations set once they land on your website. So those are the three main strategies to start off your journey with combining these different channels, but I'll let Isabelle continue with those takeaways.
Yeah, great point. This is where to start kind of with this journey of SEO and PPC, but some really tangible tips of how to make a really big impact on this as well. So like we said, SEO and PPC really should be used in conjunction with each other. They have a really big impact. PPC is just a building block off of SEO, really. It allows us, again, to win more traffic. It allows us to, pay less per cost per click because we're more relevant. And, as Google develops even more, Google is really putting a big emphasis on brand trust and making sure websites are, have a good user experience. So it's really important. SEO and PPC, again, aren't competing. They're working together. Like I said before, they're building blocks off of each other, and they really should be used like that.
So we want to invite you all to send in some questions that you have in the Q&A tab. And as you're doing that, we just wanted to remind you again that we have this free SEO report card that we're offering you. It's a free SEO strategy for your nonprofit to drive more traffic and growth for your nonprofit. So by scanning this QR code here, you can book a free SEO report card with our team of experts working one-on-one with nonprofits to scale that growth. And also, if you want to learn more about running paid ads with Google, you can book a one-on-one Google ad game planning session as well. And we'll be sending that link in the chat. But send in your questions and we're happy to answer those.
First question we can kind of talk about is, as someone who knows nothing about PPC and SEO, what do you mean by bid on keyword? That's a great question. Bid on keyword basically means it's during the auction, the 0.2 seconds of auction that Google holds when somebody searches for something. And that bid just means how much you're willing to pay for that keyword to show up for that keyword and ultimately get somebody to click on that ad. So it's kind of this internal auction that Google holds for keywords that are being searched and the competitors that are making a bid to show up for that keyword, and allows us to see how much we're paying for that, essentially.
Awesome. Let's see. So how do you tailor SEO to the no-click environment? I think this is really interesting. Something to keep in mind with SEO is you can alter your website to show up in different ways on the search engine results page. So similar to how there's extensions in Google Ads, you can add some different features to the back end of your site to feature different pieces of the content on the search engine results page. So say that you have a drop-down list of resources on your actual content page. There's ways to adjust your content on the back end of your site to where that list will actually show up in the search engine results page, in addition to your title tags and your meta descriptions, which is a really cool tool that not a lot of nonprofits use. So that could be a really interesting way to start standing out on the search engine results page. Again, really similar to Google Ads extensions.
Yeah. Next question. Are you able to see what other organizations are paying for certain keywords, or do you have to just place the max amount you're willing to pay? Great question. Like I kind of referenced a little bit before, didn't really go much in depth. I'll go actually more in depth in my next presentation on this, but Google's AI really allows you to flex in that range of what the average cost per click is for that keyword. So you can get those average costs per click on websites like SEMrush or Keyword Planner, which is in the actual Google Ads platform. You can see a range on average how much people are paying for that keyword. But something that Google does is with these AI bidding strategies. So basically bidding strategies are ways that Google holds auctions, or how Google understands your goals for these keywords. So based on your goal, whether you want to control, let's just use an example, maximize conversions. So the goal of that bidding strategy is to get as many conversions as possible. Google is going to understand that you're willing to pay a little bit more for that keyword in order to get more people to your site, in order to hopefully influence the number of conversions. And because of that, you don't necessarily have to set a max amount. It's going to flex within that kind of range it's given you. Maybe go a little bit higher, maybe go a little bit lower. One of the things that influences how much, again, you're going to pay per cost per click is how relevant your site is. So it's really important, again, to have a good SEO, good landing page, because that's going to bring your cost per click down a little bit. And so, yeah, a smart bidding strategy is the best way to do that. It will allow you to not necessarily have to put a max amount on it, but it will allow Google to automatically flex within that range. Awesome. We have one more minute. I can answer this last question too, unless there's anything you want to touch on, Ash. But are you able to see what other organizations are paying for certain keywords? Or do you just have to place a map? Or we answer that. There was another one on here. Oh, what are websites you can use for testing strength of keywords? SEMrush, Keyword Planner. There's lots of different websites. If you just type in keyword research into Google search, there's a bunch of different credible websites that show up there too.
Yeah, some of the favorites for both SEO and PPC are Ahrefs and SEMrush. So they're really great tools.